It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso ahead of the festive season. An opportunity, yes, to unwind, kick back, relax, and also have your entire family crammed into a really small space for an extended period of time. So we've got Laura Markovitz is now joining us to help us unpack exactly what you're going to give us a toolkit on how to survive holidays with the families. Because there's all this pressure on you must have a good time, you must connect with loved ones, but people have already carried the stress of the whole year over. It can be intense being, all together again.
Different scenarios as well. If I just take a look at my own family as well, I've got a brother in Hong Kong and I've got a brother in Belgium. Both of them are coming out down. My middle brother with his family and two kids who I haven't seen in years. I love them, but now we're all going to be in the same space.
Who's the alpha? Who's the alpha?
I'm the alpha. I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. But why is this important to talk about? Such an important topic going into the festive season.
No, listening to both of you.
Did we just vent? Was that a vent?
This is an important topic to talk about because if we think about it, here you go, you've got family coming together. Of course, it's an opportunity to connect. There's intergenerational connecting. There's shared memories. But of course, there's a bit of a dark side as well. And I think the dark side is exacerbated by the fact that there are these expectations that we're all going to come together and we're going to have these kind of Facebook-worthy moments that everyone's going to get on. And often...
there's going to be Facebook-worthy moments.
There will, but there'll be and there'll be the others as well.
What are those triggers, traditionally, since we're going traditional for Christmas, what generally sets off an argument in that dynamic?
So, I mean, there are a whole lot. And I think if we think about it, during the festive season, things really do come to the fore. So people who are dealing with grief and loss, it's really felt acutely. And then how they are dealing with it differently within a family. Is it okay for me to be laughing and having a good time while someone else is not dealing with it so well? Financial pressures. I mean, here we go, presents, all that sort of thing. It's felt so strongly during this time. Relationship stuff. If we're having difficult times with our partners, here we go. There's the expectation of togetherness, connectedness, and it can often be problematic. And then entrenched family patterns and entrenched family roles. I might be the CEO of a company, but I still become the baby little sister who goes into those set patterns and roles. Different rules, different traditions in different families can really get things interesting at the festive season.
In-laws? Why?
Well, it
never
forms part
a problem,
of everything there.
never.
But how do you go about dealing with those kind of issues? Because like you've mentioned, everyone has their own way of dealing with conflict. If you talk about the in-laws, maybe your extended family's got a different way. If I take a look at my family, my extended family is from Hungary, Budapest, so they have a complete different way of dealing with conflict where we are a little bit completely on the other side of the scale. So it does create that conflict. How do you manage that?
So I think what we've got to do is, here we go, it's the festive season. We've got to be thinking bigger picture. And we can only control what we can control, which means I can't control how you're going to behave or how you're going to behave.
Change Hungarian traditions. You can't do it.
No, it's set.
Exactly, as much as you may want to try, but we can only control what we can do. And I think that's really something important, because what that means is we often get caught up in the who's right or wrong, who started, those triggers that get us going. But if we actually consciously, and I don't say it's easy, but if we try and respond differently to those triggers, instead of going into those scripted patterns, we can actually try and change dynamics.
I think it's about going into this time of year with your family and in-laws with that mindset of togetherness. You almost know that there's differences and issues and things, but for now, let's just have a good time.
I think what you're saying is suck it up, basically. It's just suck it up and be, put your big person pants on and do it.
Unless you treat it like a baby and you're the CEO of a company.
And then it's hard to put the big person pants on.
But you've hit on something there. I think intergenerational, as a parent, you have to control the situation. As a child, it's slightly different. So, Laura, we're going to get into that in our next segment on how you can kind of advise, coach your kids to handle that conflict in a better way.
Only you can make my day.
Incredible indeed. Right now we are back with our certified parent coach Laura Markovitz this morning, heading into the festive season, talking about family conflict and how to go about dealing with
Did I
it.
sigh there? Sorry, did I sigh?
You did sigh
There
because
might have been a little sign there.
you know it's good we're talking about this.
Yeah.
We established why it's also good because it is the time of the year that's supposed to be incredibly special, but you also get conflict in those spaces,
happen,
people
yeah.
that you haven't seen for a long time, relatives, family. Just to recap, why is it really important to talking about particularly this subject going into the festive season? Why dealing with it is such an important topic?
I think for two main reasons. I think it's really helpful to be managing those expectations of this absolutely picture perfect 24/7 festive season to allow for some of the ups and downs.
You can work through stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And secondly, to be aware of what your triggers are. You know,
Yeah.
it can be helpful to think, sure, it's going to be hard. I haven't seen my brother who usually says that thing that really gets me going for a while, or my mother-in-law who does this, or my father-in-law, whoever triggers you, to be aware of that. So you're in a better position to try and manage it and take those deep breaths so that we can really think bigger picture and be managing things in a better way so we can leave things relatively peacefully
I
and
suppose
happily.
there is an opportunity to rewrite the family script, and maybe this is something that's kind of really dominant for me because I am a parent now, and I'm really keen to kind of let those lessons now start filtering through.
Yeah.
What do you tell your kids about being in that environment? Because there's going to be cousins, there's going to be other siblings. Maybe they're having conflict with one of their own siblings, and now they're going to be back shoved into a house together for the next 3 weeks as opposed to being able to go to school and release. How do we kind of impart that onto our kids? What should we be telling our kids moving into a time like this?
So I think, first of all, talking to them, you know, especially this is when we are going into different homes. There are different rules. People do things differently. And sometimes as parents, we can go, oh, I can't believe auntie somebody is going to be giving them sweets and chocolates the whole time. Or they're allowed to watch screens the whole time and we're not. Rather than just sweeping it under the carpet, to be able to identify that when we go to different homes, they might do things differently.
Yeah.
And we can prepare our kids for that instead of holding onto it and thinking this is going to make everything that we're about fall apart.
Yeah.
Rather to be prepared, manage the expectations, even around financial pressures. If this year is going to be a difficult year, talk about it. Go,
Yeah.
look, this is what's going on and this is what we can manage
Yeah.
this year.
I think honesty is probably the best thing when it comes to
Yeah.
your children. Just being,
And
playing open
talking.
cards and, still focusing, I think, on the children because it's a special time for the children. I think more so if I take a look at my two boys, I want to make this as much as
They're at
I
that
am,
age
but,
now,
but
yeah.
it's their magic. It's their magic. But
Yeah.
separated or divorced families obviously brings a whole different
Different,
dimension as well. How can parents that's in those situations manage it, for their children to make sure
It's
that
tough
it
for them
really
as well.
is- Exactly, it's tough for them as
So-
well to make it that magical kind of experience.
And I think that's exactly it, is that it's, of course,
Yeah.
it's so difficult for the adults in this situation, but we want to be trying not to put that onto our kids so that they are having to hold these different circumstances. So again, preparing them, remembering we can come up with new traditions, new rituals, holding our kids through this difficult time, and changing things up and talking to our exes about how we're going to manage this so that we can hold the kids
Be grown-ups.
and be grown-ups and let the kids be kids. Yeah.
Any final tips of advice that you can offer that you hold firm in your
Yeah.
own mind as you go into this time?
Yeah, I think deep breaths and, remember, it's everybody's festive season.
Yeah.
So to just try to be gentle on the other people in your family and be gentle on yourself. Hold the kids in mind, think bigger picture, and have a good time out there with your
enjoy
family
it,
because
man.
special memories are made here as well.
Exactly.
So we've got to
man.
remember that as well.
It's the festive
Yes.
season, man. I'm
Time
looking
to be
forward to
jolly.
it. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Laura. That's your parenting
That was great.
chat
Thank you.
right on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.